Baptist Church of Blackwood.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lord, we do pledge allegiance to this flag and all that it represents, and we not only pledge our allegiance, but we beg for your intervention, God, and that you would give us in particular wisdom, mayor and council and all of us as citizens, that you would give us great wisdom. We live in very changing times, and no one seems to be able to agree on if all this changes for the better or for the worse. And the right and the left has never been more divided, and we can't even agree on what's right and wrong, what's legal and illegal. And I'm just begging for wisdom, that there would be respect and mutual recognition, but wisdom, that you would give us wisdom. Your word says that if we lack wisdom, we would ask you and you would give it liberally. So I'm asking wisdom for mayor and council and all of us as citizens in whatever role we have, that we would navigate these changing days and the flux of our culture, and that Gloucester Township would be a safe place, a profitable place to live, a gentle and peaceful place to live. God, give us that kind of wisdom. We look to you and beg for your intervention. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Pastor. This regular meeting of the Township Council is being held in accordance with the schedule of meetings of the Township Council established and adopted by the Township Council with scheduled, designated time, date, and place of this meeting. Adequate public notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. We're using electronic amplifying and recording device and retain audible and clear record. We request all those wishing to speak be recognized, state your name and address directly into the microphone. This recording device is to be solely utilized by the Township Clerk's Office, shall be the official record of Township Council meetings. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Present.
Mr. Schmidt?
Present.
Mr. Seiler?
Here.
Mrs. Strada? Here. Mrs. Winters? Here. Mr. Mercado?
Present.
Mr. Bianchini?
Present.
Mr. Lechner?
Here.
Chief Earl?
Here.
Mr. Carlemere?
Here.
Mr. Campbell?
Here.
Mr. Gardner?
Here.
We'll have the first public portion. Anyone wish to speak on any agenda items only, please raise your hand, come to the microphone. Seeing no hands, we'll close the first public portion. Proclamation, please.
Proclamation supporting the Click It or Ticket mobilization May 18th to the 31st. Whereas there were 556 motor vehicle fatalities in New Jersey in 2014. Whereas a large percentage of the motor vehicle occupants killed in traffic crashes were not wearing a seatbelt. And whereas use of a seatbelt remains the most effective way to avoid death or serious injury in a motor vehicle crash. And whereas the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration estimates that 135,000 lives were saved by seatbelt usage nationally between 1975 and 2000. And whereas the state of New Jersey will participate in a nationwide Click It or Ticket seatbelt mobilization from May 18th to the 31st in an effort to raise awareness and increase seatbelt usage through a combination of high visibility enforcement and public education. Whereas the Division of Highway Safety, Traffic Safety has set a goal of increasing the seatbelt usage rate in the state from the current level of 88% to 90%. And whereas a further increase in seatbelt usage in New Jersey will save lives on our roadways. Now therefore be it proclaimed that Gloucester Township declares its support for the Click It or Ticket seatbelt mobilization both locally and nationally from May 18th to the 31st, and pledges to increase awareness of the mobilization and the benefits of seatbelt use.
Thank you, Rob. Minutes?
Waive the reading and accept the minutes of regular minutes 427 in the May workshop.
Motion to approve minutes.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Strada? Yes. Mrs. Winters? Yes. Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes. Before we go to the resolution and consent agenda, I'm going to ask that everybody take a look at the resolution 153. And that's the resolution approving the 2015-2019 consolidated plan and the fiscal year 2015-2016 one-year action plan. Joan is with us this evening, and so we asked council to review that plan, and if there is any questions or any concerns, that we bring them to tonight's meeting and discuss them with Joan. And I don't know, Joan, if you have anything to summarize for council. If you like, you can. If not, yes, please.
I don't really think that there's anything out of the ordinary this year in this year's plan. All of the projects are projects that we have previously funded. The housing rehab, of course, we do every year. The food pantry is the 123 Church Street building, and owned by Living Alternatives of South Jersey and Vicinity, Inc. And they want to make additional improvements to the property so they can use the entire property and not just the basement. They've outgrown the basement area, and they really need to make some other improvements to make the whole, to be able to get a permanent CVO. So that's what those funds would be for. The senior bus driver, of course, is just salary for, and the reason we use CDBG funds for that now is because we can. Senior citizens are presumed to be low and moderate income, so any activity benefiting senior citizens. So this allows the township to use capital funds for some other project. Money they would be paying in salary, they can now put to a project that wouldn't be eligible under CDBG. The financial counseling, that's Jersey Counseling. We fund that company every year. They're a HUD-approved counseling service, and they counsel people on, debt and delinquency, helping people to take advantage of government-based programs to save their homes in case they're on foreclosure or whatever. And this year we're going to give some money to the Camden County Women's Center to buy some appliances. That Women's Center is located in Gloucester Township. And we're going to give them a little bit of money to buy a washer and a dryer and I think a refrigerator. They were one of the 3 organizations that came to we held a public forum and invited probably 25 to 30 organizations throughout Camden County to talk to us give us some ideas about what funds should be used for, and the Camden County Women's Center showed up and explained to us that they have a lot of needs in maintaining that building, and they presented it. All organizations have to submit an application. So the next thing is Gloucester Township Housing Authority, Gloucester Township Housing Authority, Jersey Counseling, and the Women's Center, and also 123 Church Street or Living Alternatives all submitted an application requesting funds. So we divided it up as judiciously as we could, and then the last item is just general admin, and that's the cost of administering the program.
The Jersey Counseling, is that only for Gloucester Township residents?
No, it is not.
Okay.
No, it's not. But they have a large majority, and they give us a report on a quarterly basis of all the township residents. Everyone who participates, they cannot turn anyone away. Anyone who shows up or calls, they have to give them advice and help them. But there is an income requirement. HUD requires the majority of funds to be used for low and moderate income people. But they wouldn't reject someone if they showed up.
Where are they located now?
They rent space from the township. They're actually in the old Public Works building.
They used to be in Academy Hall.
They're a long-time organization, have helped a lot of people, and again, it's a public service. We're allowed to spend 15% of our funds on public services every year, and that's one that we do every year.
Joan, is there any, usually is areas that qualify for HUD dollars, and I know sometimes it changes according to income or...
Has a 2010 census, we lost an area in Blackwood, but pretty much the areas stay the same. And you could only, if you're going to do like a public improvement, like a public facilities project, which is it's one I skipped. We put some funds into a public facilities. That has to be in a low and moderate income area, and because the beneficiaries have to be low and mod according to census data. So we couldn't use CDBG funds to repave a street in an area that wasn't low and moderate income. All the funds, well, 70% of the funds, but generally all of our activities are eligible activities, and we spend all of the money either low and moderate income people or areas.
Any questions from council? Okay, I appreciate the summary, and
My
I just
pleasure.
wanted to pull that out so that we do what we said we were going to do at the workshop. Thanks, John.
Good.
So with that, let's go back to the resolution for consent agenda.
I did not use number 150, so it'll go from 149 to 151, and I'm just going to put that on record that I did not use resolution 150. It's not here, but I skipped a number from the last agenda to this one.
Oh,
So
okay.
that number will not be used.
Okay, so 151 is still the first one?
Yes.
Okay. So resolution for consent agenda, if there's any of these resolutions any council person would like to remove, please let me know now. If not, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion.
On the question, roll call?
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mr. Strato?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters? Yes. Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Iannucci?
Yes. I did not get any GTE Gov access questions, so we will go to the second public portion. Anyone wishing to speak on any item, please raise your hand. Ray?
Good evening, Council. Ray Paldo.
Hi, Ray.
First, let me start by wishing a belated Happy Mother's Day to the ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you. Within the Township of Gloucester, is it lawful to utilize a pond, retention pond, or lake for a sprinkler system?
Utilized, I'm not sure.
In other words,
Water out of it?
draw water from a pond or lake in the township for the purpose of irrigation on a private home,
The township doing it?
within our boundaries. A private resident on a quote-unquote private lake,
That's a unique question. I've never given that any thought. I've never heard of it. And is it happening out there? Or?
yes.
I would ask that if you share the information with the solicitor, you could find out for us.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that would lead to the second question, which is a follow-up, and I'm sorry I didn't get here earlier to ask Mr. Cantwell. I've been pressing to hear what the DEP's findings were on Lake Renee with the levels of contaminants and/or Legionella, and I'm curious to see if we heard anything back, and if not, why not?
Don, do you have anything?
I haven't heard anything back. Frankly, I don't think they will have any data to submit us. But the data, I haven't heard anything back from.
Because as we probably know, a much-needed project on that lake never got accomplished and got scrapped. It was shortly after the DEP had done whatever they had done. It'd be great to find that out. Combining question one with question two is as you well know, a lady that had lived on the lake had Legionnaire's disease. The only way that you could contract Legionnaire's disease is from the Legionella, which has to be airborne. Therefore, if you're using a sprinkler irrigation system and sucking water from a lake, you can make the Legionella airborne, thus having that issue. That's why it's important to the people of Lake Renee to find out what the DEP discovered, what they found. It's extremely important to one family who was affected by this. They're still having issues with it and some deep health issues, and I think it's important to them that we draw some kind of document to the DEP and make them officially answer the question.
Can you assist that?
Is that the area that you're talking about for the drawing water from the detention basin?
That's just one. I have heard of other locations and other towns that do the same. I'm sorry?
Is that happening out in the Lake Renee area?
Yeah, there's two left, I think. The neighbor that moved out of my house said it.
Retention, or it must be retention basins?
Lake Renee, I don't know who created the lake, it's an artificial.
I know there's a section there that's a drainage area.
Yeah, and drainage comes down there, it's been there, dates my involvement in the town. I suspect it was built when the houses were first built, somebody put the dam in, it may have predated this, it might have been a farmer's irrigation line, I don't know.
Well, I believe somewhere in the late 80s there was a breach of the berm, and that was rebuilt. And again, the sediment retention area located above that was where the work was to be done, and the water doesn't flow. Therefore, there's a nasty sandbar at the beginning of that. It's just hideous, and the garbage pond scum on top of that is pretty.
And that's where the water.
There's two spots. There's down in the southern end of the lake and the northern end of the lake. The northern end of the lake is a greater concern because it's a dark and still area, thus the greater growth of the Legionella in that particular end of the pond, and that is the area to which that lady had lived. My understanding is there is one person up that end that utilized the lake, and my understanding was it's lawful, but if we're looking at projects scrapped, because the DEP was looking into it, and again, we don't know the parameters of what they were looking at. It's a concern, and it'd be great to get a follow-up on that.
I would just ask David if you can send something to the DEP or whatever, requesting, I mean, even if they have nothing for no answer, at least we get the answer.
Dave, I'll forward you the letter I sent up about a month ago.
That'd be great that we can get a response from those folks. I don't always agree with I don't agree with most of the time, some of the spending that goes on in the township, I should say. One of the things I heard tonight was helping out the 123 Church pantry. Absolutely, positively. They can use all the help that they can get. There's a lot more people in this town that need that help than we could realize. On the Women's Center, I heard the request made for the appliances. Great idea, but there's a state program that funds appliances, especially for high efficiency and energy efficient appliances. And I think that if the township applies for that, they can offset the cost of that and still accomplish the goals that they're looking at. A lot of folks are taking advantage of that right now. And my last comment is I do believe that congratulations is in order. I know that the mayor's not here tonight, but I understand that the mayor and Freeholder Gentech were married recently, and congratulations is in order to both of them. Have a great night.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no other hands, we'll close the public portion. Polling of directors and council, please.
Mr. Ledger.
I have nothing to report, thank you.
Chief Earl.
Nothing to report, thank you.
Mr. Carlemere.
Nothing to report.
Mr. Cantwell.
Nothing to report.
Mr. Cardis.
Nothing to report.
Mr. Hutchison.
Thank you very much for coming this evening. Have a good night.
Mr. Schmidt.
Thank you very much for coming out this evening.
Mr. Seiler.
Yes, Gloucester Township Veterans Affairs Committee will hold their annual Memorial Day service on Monday, May the 25th. It's 11 o'clock. I hope you'll be able to attend. Thank you.
Mrs. Strada.
I would like to congratulate the police officers and the citizens and the students of Gloucester Township that received awards last week at the police awards night. It was a great night, and it's always great to hear the stories of how our police force responds to various calls. It's absolutely amazing the harm that they put themselves in and day out, and I appreciate what they do and what they accomplish. So thank you and congratulations to all of our great men and women.
Mrs. Winters.
I would like to ditto Tracy's comments. I was at the police awards last week also, and it is nice to hear all the things going on between the citizens, the police, and the students with all the different activities. It's a very nice evening. Thank you.
Mr. Mercado.
Thank you for coming out this evening. Thank you, Joan, for your work on the CDBG program. Dollars and dollars.
Thanks, me.
Well,
Thank you.
But I know over the years the dollars have decreased, the amount that we
Yes, they
receive
have.
from the
Exactly,
federal
yes.
government, but you've been able to stretch it out and reach different constituents of our community. It's wonderful that you have these groups reach out and you had that forum so they can address some of their needs. So thank you for your work. Thank you for coming out and have a good evening, everyone.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yeah, I'd like to thank all the residents for attending tonight's meeting. Congratulations to the awardees at the police annual awards. And Joan, thank you for all your hard work. I appreciate that. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Ayes have it. Good night.
It's nice to get back to you. Soften the news.
I've been coming here for 12 years.
Thanks, man.